Lyra's heart skipped a beat as she watched Kyle move across the room. He didn't speak, of course, not unless absolutely necessary. That was why everyone on the colony had nicknamed him the Silent Human. And yet somehow, in his quiet way, he made the entire room feel alive. The colony hall was bustling with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Long-necked Xyrelians chatted animatedly, their words sounding like musical bells. The small, squat Grivens stomped across the floor, their eyes darting suspiciously at every corner. And humans? There were barely any of them, only Kale and, now Lyra, who had married him 6 months ago. Most people thought humans were weak, fragile even. Harmless little creatures, they whispered behind Kale's back. Lyra had heard it herself, but she had married him, and something about Kale always told her there was more to him than anyone could imagine. Kale didn't care about whispers. He never did. He moved through life like a shadow, quiet, patient, observing. Today was no different. As Lyra looked at him, she noticed how his eyes scanned the room, sharp and calculating. He wasn't just watching people. He was noticing details nobody else would see. The way a floor panel was loose, a faint movement behind a screen, the subtle tension in someone's posture. Lyra, Kyle said softly, barely audible, his voice calm but firm. We should move. She smiled at him. Always so quiet, always so calm, she teased. But inside, she felt a small shiver of awe. She had seen hints of Kale's abilities before, how he could catch falling objects without thinking, how he could remain perfectly still for hours or react to danger faster than anyone else. Lyra took his hand, and together they navigated the crowded hall. Most aliens glanced at them curiously, but Kale ignored them. It wasn't rudeness, it was control. He didn't waste energy on things that didn't matter. Do you ever talk? One Xyrelian woman whispered to Lyra, her long neck craning to get a better look. Lyra laughed softly. He talks when it matters. That's why he's reliable. The woman raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Talking too much often got one into trouble here. Actions mattered more than words. They reached their assigned table for the colony's weekly council dinner. Aliens were already seated, discussing trade agreements, resource allocations, and occasionally, rumors about humans. Lyra slid into her seat while Kale stood beside her, quietly scanning the room. Lyra tried to make small talk with other guests, but she couldn't stop sneaking glances at Kyle. Something about his calm, silent demeanor made her feel both safe and uneasy. Safe, because she knew he could protect her. Uneasy, because she knew there was more beneath that calm exterior than he let on. Dinner started. Plates filled with colorful alien foods floated over by small, hovering drones. Lyra nibbled at a bright green jelly-like dish. Kyle didn't eat, yet. His eyes kept moving, observing everything, the drones, the exits, the people. You're always so aware, Lyra whispered. Do you ever relax? Kale finally looked at her. His gaze was steady, almost piercing. Relaxing doesn't solve problems, he said simply. I prefer to watch first, learn, understand. Lyra shook her head with a small laugh. I married a spy, not a husband. He smiled faintly, the corner of his mouth curling, but said nothing more. And that was Kyle. Quiet, calm, unreadable. As dinner continued, Lyra noticed a small commotion near the entrance. A group of Grivens had accidentally knocked over a floating tray. Drinks and food spilled everywhere. Chaos erupted. Some aliens shouted, others tried to catch the falling items. But Kale moved first. In a blur of motion, he caught the tray mid-fall, steadying it before anything could hit the floor. Not one alien had noticed how fast he had moved. Lyra's mouth fell open. Did you see that? She whispered. Kale gave her a faint nod. I saw it. Nobody else did. Lyra didn't need more words. She had seen enough to know that Kale was not like anyone else here. Not just human. Something more. The council meeting continued, discussing trade with nearby systems. Lyra found it difficult to focus. Her mind kept drifting to Kale, how silent he was, how he moved, how he seemed to see everything. She tried to shake it off. Maybe he was just unusual. Yes, that was it. After dinner, they left the hall and walked through the colony streets. The city lights glowed faintly, casting long shadows on the metallic buildings. Kyle walked slightly. Ahead, his movements precise, almost like a predator, though his face remained calm and gentle. A small child ran into the street, chasing a floating toy. A speeding delivery drone came straight toward the child. Kyle reacted before anyone even screamed. He darted forward, grabbed the child, and pushed them out of the way. The drone passed harmlessly, hitting the wall with a soft thud. Lyra hugged the child to safety, her heart pounding. She looked at Kale. Why do you move like that? So fast? So perfect? Kale's eyes softened slightly. I pay attention. That's all. Humans survive by noticing things others miss. Lyra frowned. Humans are supposed to be weak, fragile. Everyone says so. Kyle's expression didn't change. Weak? Maybe. Fragile? Perhaps. But also adaptable. Humans survive when no one else can. That's why I am like this. Lyra tried to understand. His words sounded calm, almost simple. But she felt a chill in her bones. This wasn't just calmness. This was capability, danger, power hidden behind. Quiet eyes. The night deepened. They returned to their home, a modest dwelling filled with both human and alien furniture. Kale moved about, checking locks, scanning windows, observing. Lyra watched him, heart full of both admiration and fear. She loved him, yes, but she also felt that she barely knew him. Do you ever talk to anyone about what you can do? She asked. Kyle shook his head. No need. Actions speak louder than words. Let people think what they want. That's safer. Lyra nodded slowly. She understood, in a strange way. Kyle's silence was part of his strength. And yet, she wanted to know more. She wanted to know who he really was. That night, as she lay in bed, Lyra couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Kale, his quiet strength, his lightning-fast reflexes, his calm in chaos. She realized that marrying him was not like marrying any other human. She had married a mystery, a living secret, and somewhere deep inside, she knew that her life had changed forever. The next morning, the colony awoke to news of a small accident near the trading docks. A supply container had nearly fallen from the hover lifts, and dozens of aliens claimed they barely avoided injury. But no one mentioned Kale. He had quietly stopped the container from falling, unnoticed by most. Lyra smiled faintly as she read the reports. That was Kale. Always silent, always deadly efficient. Always watching. Over the next few weeks, more small incidents occurred. Fires that would have spread, falling debris, minor thefts. Kale was there in every case, preventing disaster, unseen and unacknowledged. Aliens started whispering, curious about the silent human who seemed to appear wherever trouble was near. Lyra could see the tension in their eyes when Kale entered a room. Some aliens were afraid, some fascinated. But all underestimated him. And that, Lyra realized, was exactly the way Kale wanted it. One evening, while they walked under the twin moons of the colony, Lyra finally asked the question she had been avoiding. Kale, why are you so capable, so fast, so alert, so perfect? Kyle looked at her, his calm gaze piercing through the night. Because humans survive. We adapt. We endure. And sometimes we hide what we can do until the moment it matters most. Lyra shivered. She had married a man who seemed quiet, gentle, and unassuming. But now she understood. The silent human she married was far more than anyone could imagine. The colony's morning market was bustling as usual. Aliens of every shape and size filled the streets, haggling over exotic goods. Lyra walked beside Cale, holding his hand. He still didn't speak much, but today, Lyra noticed something different. He was alert, tense, and scanning the surroundings with a sharp focus that made her uneasy. "Cale, what is it?" she asked softly, leaning closer. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, his eyes flicked to the corner of a stall, then to a narrow alley where a shadow moved too fast to be human. His hand brushed against hers, steadying her subtly. "Someone's watching us," he finally said, his voice low, calm, but firm. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. "Watching us? Who would—" Before she could finish, a loud crash echoed from the alley. Aliens screamed and scattered as a group of masked figures burst out, wielding weapons unfamiliar to Lyra. The market turned chaotic instantly. Merchants dropped their goods, and floating drones zipped around in panic. Kyle acted without hesitation. He moved like water, silent, smooth, precise. In a blur, he intercepted one of the attackers before they could harm anyone. His movements were fast but controlled, almost effortless. Within moments, several masked figures were disarmed and restrained, while others fled into the crowd. Lyra gasped, clutching his arm. "Kyle, you're incredible!" Kyle glanced at her, calm and collected. "Stay close. More may come." Aliens around them stared in shock. Most had believed humans were weak, incapable of defending themselves. Seeing Kale neutralize multiple armed assailants without breaking a sweat changed their perception instantly. Whispers spread like wildfire. "The silent human, he's not weak," some said, eyes wide with disbelief. Lyra couldn't help but feel both pride and fear. Pride because the man she married was extraordinary. Fear because she realized just how much power he hid behind that calm exterior. After the attackers were subdued, Cale led the authorities to ensure the criminals were secured. Lyra tried to ask questions, but Cale shook his head. "Not safe to talk now. We must stay alert." She realized then that Cale's silence wasn't just habit. It was a part of his survival, always calculating, always prepared. And she, too, would need to stay sharp if she wanted to understand him. The incident quickly became the talk of the colony. By evening, everyone had heard about the attack and the human who had saved dozens without a single alien casualty. Some aliens admired Cale's skills. Others whispered with fear. "What else can humans do?" they asked each other. Lyra and Cale returned home in the quiet of the night. The city's lights glimmered, reflecting in Cale's thoughtful eyes. "Why? Didn't you warn anyone? Why didn't you fight openly?" Lyra asked as they entered their home. Kyle shook his head. "No need. Chaos is temporary. I act only where necessary. Showing power is risky." Lyra frowned. "But everyone saw you today. They'll be talking about it for weeks." Kyle gave her a faint smile. "Let them. They underestimate humans." "That is their mistake." Lyra looked at him in awe. "You're more than I imagined, Kyle. I knew you were strong, but this is something else." He simply nodded, his calm gaze returning to its usual quiet intensity. Over the next few days, Lyra began noticing subtle changes in Kyle. He seemed to know when danger was near, even before it appeared. He anticipated problems at the colony and subtly prevented them. A hovering cargo crate teetering on the edge of a platform would somehow be caught before it fell. An aggressive trade negotiation that might have led to a fight ended peacefully because Kale intervened at the right moment. Lyra began to understand that Kale's silent human nature was not just quietness. It was vigilance, strategy, intelligence, beyond what any alien could imagine. One afternoon, Lyra decided to confront him directly. They sat in the small garden outside their home, alien flowers glowing softly under the twin moons. Kyle, tell me the truth. How can you do all this? You move, react, and plan in ways no one else can. Humans are supposed to be fragile. You're supposed to be weak. But you're not. You're perfect at this. Kyle looked at her, his expression unreadable. Lyra, humans survive. We adapt. We endure. We learn to notice details others miss. That is our strength. Lyra shook her head slowly. But this is more than survival. You're dangerous. You could be a weapon. Kale's calm eyes met hers. I am a human. That is all you need to know. She wanted to argue, but she realized she couldn't. Kale's presence was like a shield, silent, powerful, and completely unshakable. The next morning, the colony faced another challenge. A small trade convoy was intercepted by space pirates near the docking bay. Aliens panicked. The pirates were armed and ruthless. Kale didn't hesitate. He coordinated quietly, analyzing the environment, the ships, and the pirates' movements. Using a combination of improvised devices, human tactics, and precise timing, he managed to disarm and trap the pirates before they could escape. Lyra watched in amazement. Kale didn't just react. He predicted, he strategized, he executed flawlessly. The aliens who had once laughed at humans now stared in disbelief. Some whispered, "He is not just strong, he is Earth's secret weapon." That evening, Lyra asked him, Kale, if this is how humans survive, what else are we capable of? You seem limitless. Kale's expression softened slightly, rare warmth in his eyes. Humans endure. We survive where others fail. We adapt, learn, and overcome. That is all. Lyra felt a mix of fear and pride. She realized she had married a man who was not just quiet or skilled. He was something else entirely, a living example of human potential. Rumors about Kyle spread across the colony. Some aliens were cautious, avoiding conflict with him. Others were curious, wondering how humans could be so powerful, yet so silent. Lyra noticed the change in their attitudes. Respect, fear, and fascination replaced mockery and doubt. One night, as Lyra prepared dinner, Kale quietly checked the perimeter of their home. He noticed subtle signs of danger, disturbed soil, faint tracks leading to their door. When he looked at her, his calm eyes held warning. Someone may be watching, he said quietly. Be alert. Lyra's heart raced. Kale, do humans always know this much? He shrugged. We notice. We learn. That is survival. And sometimes, we hide our strength until it is needed most. Lyra realized then that she had underestimated not just Kale, but humans as a whole. Earth's people had survived disasters, wars, and dangers no alien could imagine. Kale was proof. A silent human, yes, but also the deadliest secret the galaxy had never known. Days passed, and the colony adjusted to the presence of Kale's silent power. Trade and diplomacy continued, but aliens treated him with caution. Some tried to provoke him, testing human limits. Each time, Kale responded with precision, efficiency, and restraint, leaving observers stunned and fearful. Lyra watched him, amazed. He never bragged, never boasted, never drew attention to himself. And yet, the galaxy's perception of humans was beginning to change. One evening, Lyra finally asked the question that had been on her mind since their first week together. Kyle, are all humans like you? Kyle looked at her, his calm expression unreadable. No, but Earth taught us to survive. Each human adapts, learns, and endures. That is why we are underestimated, and that is why we are dangerous when needed. Lyra shivered. She had married a quiet, gentle man, but now she realized she had married a mystery, a power hidden behind calm eyes, and the galaxy had no idea what humans were truly capable of. She hugged him tightly. I married a silent human, but I think I got something much more. Kale's rare smile touched his lips. Perhaps, or maybe, you just see what others fail to notice. Lyra knew one thing for sure. Her life had changed forever. The man she loved was no ordinary human. He was a living reminder that humans were far stronger than anyone in the galaxy realized. Lyra had been married to Kale for months, yet she still felt she barely knew him. Every day he showed her glimpses of something extraordinary, something no alien had ever seen before. But she had never seen the full truth. It started on a quiet evening. Lyra had been cleaning the small study room when she noticed a faint outline of a door behind a tall bookshelf. It wasn't marked, and the bookshelf seemed deliberately placed to hide it. Her curiosity burned stronger than caution. Kyle? She asked, looking for him. He was in the kitchen preparing their evening meal. I'm here, he said, without looking up. Lyra hesitated, then whispered to herself, What is this place? She slid the bookshelf slightly, enough to reveal the hidden door. Her heart raced as she found a small keypad beside it. Curiosity overcame her. She pressed a random sequence. The door clicked and swung open, revealing a dark stairwell leading downward. She felt a mix of fear and excitement. Kale had always been secretive, but this was different. Kyle, what is this? She asked softly. Kale appeared behind her in an instant. He had been quiet, observing, and had noticed her actions before she even moved. Lyra, he said calmly, this is private. You should not enter. Her eyes widened. I need to know. I've seen you save people. Stop attacks. You're not just a quiet husband. You're something else. I have to see. Kale sighed. For a moment, the human in him seemed conflicted. Then he nodded. Very well. But what you see may change how you view humans. Be prepared. Lyra's heart pounded as she followed him down the stairwell. The air grew cooler, darker, and the faint hum of machinery filled the space. At the bottom, she gasped. The room was enormous. Screens flickered with simulations of alien worlds, star systems, and battles. Walls were lined with weapons, some human-made, others adapted from alien technology. Combat suits, holographic maps, and advanced tools filled the space. Every item seemed purposeful, precise, dangerous. Kale turned to her. This is my private room. Here, I train, plan, and prepare. Humans have survived impossible odds on Earth. We study, we learn, we adapt. What you see here is a fraction of that knowledge. Lyra stepped forward, touching a holographic map that displayed a star system in motion. You know all of this. Every planet, every fleet. Kyle nodded. We observe, we predict. Strategy is survival. Humans had to learn this long before other species even left their home planets. Earth was harsh. Every lesson we learned, we carry with us. Lyra felt a shiver of awe. So, this is why you are so capable. Every time something happens in the colony, you already know what to do. Kale's gaze softened, a rare vulnerability showing. Yes, But it is also why we remain silent. If everyone knew our full potential, it would be dangerous. Not everyone can handle the truth of human abilities. Lyra turned toward a wall lined with weapons. She saw rifles, small pistols, even devices that seemed capable of disabling entire ships. Kyle, this is terrifying. You could take over a planet with these. Kale shook his head. That is not the purpose. Humans survive, yes, but we do not seek dominance without reason. Control is only necessary when others threaten life. Everything I do is preparation, not aggression. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes scanning the room. Her mind raced. I married a quiet human, but I never imagined this. You're Earth's deadliest secret. Kale's calm expression didn't change. Perhaps. Or perhaps humans are simply what they appear to be. Underestimated, patient, and always ready when needed. She felt a mix of fear and pride. Fear because she realized the full scale of Kale's abilities. Pride because she understood what humans could accomplish if underestimated. Kale walked over to a table displaying detailed holographic records. Battles, survival exercises, and historical human achievements filled the projections. Earth was dangerous, he explained. We survived floods, fires, wars, and famine. Humans learned to predict danger, react instantly, and outthink opponents. Every challenge trained us for survival. Lyra touched one of the projections, showing humans navigating treacherous terrain. This is amazing. No alien species could survive like this. Kale's eyes glimmered. That is why humans are underestimated. We do not boast. We act quietly, patiently, and only when necessary. Silence is part of our strength. Lyra took a deep breath. Kyle, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you ever show me this before? Kyle stepped closer, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. Because it is not safe. Not everyone understands humans. And knowing everything, too soon, can be dangerous. Lyra looked around the room again, her mind racing. Every tool, every weapon, every holographic map was a piece of a puzzle she had only glimpsed before. Kyle was not just quiet. He was prepared for anything. For everyone. He was a living reminder of Earth's deadliest lessons. She finally asked the question that had been in her heart since the beginning. Kyle, are humans like you, everywhere? Or are you special? Kale smiled faintly, a shadow of warmth in his calm demeanor. Earth trained us all. Not every human is the same, but every human has potential. Some survive through cunning, some through strength, some through strategy. I am a combination. That is all you need to know. Lyra felt her stomach tighten. She had married a man who was quiet, gentle, and calm. But now she understood he was also a master of strategy, a warrior, and a guardian. He was not just a husband. He was Earth's hidden secret, a living weapon disguised as a man. Over the next few days, Lyra began to see Kale differently. Every action, every decision, every subtle movement made sense. He wasn't just reacting to the world. He was always prepared, always calculating, always steps ahead. One afternoon, while helping him organize supplies, Lyra accidentally dropped a small container. It fell toward the edge of the balcony. Before she could even blink, Kale's hand shot out, catching it with effortless precision. You're everywhere at once, Lyra whispered, half in awe, half in fear. Kale's calm voice replied, I notice. Humans survive by noticing what others miss, she laughed nervously. I married a man who could be mistaken for a silent shadow, but in reality, you're a force of nature. Kyle didn't answer, only observed her with quiet eyes. She realized that his silence wasn't emptiness, it was focus. His calm wasn't passivity, it was control. That night, As they sat under the twin moons of the colony, Lyra asked the question she had been holding back. Kyle, what will happen if the galaxy finds out what humans are capable of? Kale's gaze was steady. Then they will learn what humans have always known. Underestimate us at your own risk. But humans do not seek conflict without reason. We act only when necessary. That is the difference. Lyra nodded slowly. She hugged him tightly, feeling both warmth and awe. I thought I married a silent human, but I see now I married something more. Something dangerous, in the best way. Kyle's rare smile touched his lips. Perhaps. Or perhaps you just see what others fail to notice. For the first time, Lyra truly understood. The man she loved was not just a quiet companion. He was a master of survival, a guardian of life, and a reminder that humans were far more capable than anyone, alien or otherwise, could imagine. The peace of the colony was shattered one morning by an urgent alarm. Red lights flashed across the city, echoing through the streets, and the hum of hovering vehicles intensified. Lyra, startled, grabbed Kyle's arm. "What is it?" she asked, her voice tense. Kyle's calm eyes scanned the horizon. "Trouble," he said simply. His fingers brushed against hers, a subtle reassurance. "We must move." Outside, chaos reigned. An armada of unknown alien warships appeared in the sky, firing energy pulses toward the colony's defenses. Citizens ran in panic, and security drones tried desperately to intercept the attacks. Aliens who had once mocked Kale's silence now looked to him with fear and hope. Lyra clutched his hand. "Kyle, what do we do?" Kale didn't answer with words. He moved, fluid and precise, toward the command center. Every step was deliberate, every motion measured. Lyra followed, her heart pounding. She had seen him act with speed and intelligence before. But this was different. This was strategy on a scale she had never imagined. Inside the command center, Kyle assessed the situation quickly. Holographic screens displayed the incoming fleet, their trajectories and weapon systems. Aliens crowded around, panicking. "Evacuate civilians first," Kale said calmly, issuing commands that were clear and precise. "All defensive drones to Sector 7. I will handle the rest." The aliens looked at him, uncertain, but Kale's presence demanded attention. His silence carried authority. They followed, reluctantly but obediently. Lyra watched as Kyle moved through the control panels, adjusting defenses, rerouting power, and calculating trajectories faster than she could comprehend. His mind was a machine, precise, unstoppable. "They think humans are weak," Kale murmured, almost to himself. "They have no idea." Lyra felt a chill. She had married a man who seemed quiet, gentle, and unassuming. But now, as she watched him orchestrate the colony's survival, she realized he was something else entirely. The enemy warships fired another volley. Energy blasts lit the sky, and some hit the colony's outer walls. Kyle adjusted shields instantly, predicting the attack patterns. Aliens gasped in awe. How does he know?" one Xyrilian whispered to a comrade. "Humans can't do this." Kale didn't answer. He didn't need to. Every move, every calculation, every action spoke louder than words. He then instructed the colony's engineers to deploy human-style traps and decoys. Floating holograms of the colony's structures were placed in orbit, confusing the enemy. Sensors. Automated drones disguised as supply ships moved in synchronized patterns, luring attackers away from populated areas. Lyra followed him onto the observation deck, unable to hide her astonishment. "Kyle, this is incredible. They think they're attacking a simple colony, but you've turned it into a fortress." Kale's calm eyes scanned the enemy fleet. "Humans survive by thinking ahead, predicting danger, adapting. That is what they underestimate." The battle escalated. The enemy ships fired relentlessly, but Kale's strategy kept casualties to a minimum. He used the colony's terrain, magnetic fields, and even the weather to his advantage. Every strike the invaders made was countered before it could cause harm. Lyra watched in awe as Kale moved from one station to another, issuing precise commands, repairing critical systems instantly, and even physically stopping drones that malfunctioned mid-flight. His movements were fast, efficient, and deadly if necessary. For the first time, aliens realized the truth. Humans were not fragile. They were adaptable, intelligent, and unpredictable. Kale, the silent human, embodied everything Earth had, trained for survival. As the battle reached its peak, one enemy ship broke through the defenses, aiming directly for the central hub. Kale didn't hesitate. He activated an emergency system, launching magnetic pulses that disabled the ship's engines mid-air. The vessel spiraled, crashing harmlessly into an empty sector. Aliens who had doubted him fell silent. Respect, fear, and awe filled the room. Lyra could see it in their eyes. Humans had always been underestimated, and Kale had proven why. After hours of relentless combat, the invaders finally retreated. Their fleet scattered. The colony stood mostly intact thanks to Kale's strategy, speed, and foresight. Exhausted but alive, Lyra turned to him, her eyes wide with admiration. You saved everyone," she whispered. "All of us. You're amazing." Kale's calm gaze met hers. "I did what was necessary. Humans survive by noticing, predicting, and acting. That is all." Lyra shook her head, amazed. "Not all humans. Not just any human could do this. You're Earth's secret weapon." Kyle's rare smile touched his lips. "Perhaps. Or perhaps humans are simply underestimated. That is our advantage." Over the next few days, the colony repaired the damage from the attack. Kyle continued to oversee operations quietly, efficiently, and without seeking praise. Aliens whispered about him in awe. Some were afraid. Others were inspired. All were forced to reconsider what humans were capable of. Lyra noticed a change in the way aliens treated her husband. Once dismissive and mocking, they now approached him with respect and caution. Some even sought his advice, hesitant but desperate. Lyra realized that Kale's silence had become a weapon in itself. One evening, after the colony had returned to relative calm, Lyra found Kale on the balcony, gazing at the stars. "You didn't have to fight them all by yourself," she said, softly. "We could have evacuated, or asked for reinforcements." Kyle shook his head. "Evacuation is temporary. Preparation is permanent. Humans survive by being ready for anything. That is why I act." Lyra held his hand, feeling both warmth and awe. You're not just my husband. You're something the galaxy doesn't understand yet." Kale's eyes softened, a rare touch of emotion in his otherwise calm demeanor. "Perhaps. But humans do not seek recognition. We act quietly. We endure. And when necessary, we become unstoppable." Lyra smiled, a mixture of pride and fear. She had always thought of humans as fragile, weak, and underestimated. Now she knew the truth. Humans were clever, adaptable, and dangerous in ways the galaxy had never imagined. In the following weeks, the story of Kale's actions spread across nearby systems. Aliens began to reconsider the humans they had dismissed as primitive. Traders, diplomats, and even soldiers whispered about the silent human, who had saved an entire colony without losing control, without boasting, without breaking a sweat. Lyra realized something else. The galaxy would never view humans the same way again, and it was all because of Kale. One night, as she prepared a meal, she watched him quietly checking the colony's defense systems. His movements were deliberate, precise, calm. She realized that this was his nature, not just silence, but vigilance, strategy, and readiness for any challenge. "Kale," she said softly, "do you think humans are ready for what's coming?" He looked at her, eyes calm and steady. "Humans survive. That is all that matters. We endure, we adapt, and we act when necessary. The galaxy underestimates us, and that is our strength." Lyra hugged him tightly, feeling the weight and warmth of his presence. She had married a man who seemed quiet and gentle, but now she knew he was something far greater. Earth's lessons, its survival instincts, its deadly strategies, all lived in him. And as they looked out at the stars, Lyra realized that the galaxy had no idea what humans were truly capable of. Kyle, her silent husband, had shown her the truth. Humans were more than underestimated. They were the ultimate survivors. The aftermath of the attack left the colony buzzing with whispers. Kale's actions had saved thousands, yet he remained as calm and silent as ever. Aliens spoke of him in hushed tones, some with fear, others with awe. Lyra walked beside him, through the streets, feeling a mixture of pride and curiosity. "Kale," she said softly, "do you realize what you've done? Everyone knows about your actions now. They're calling you Earth's deadliest secret." Kyle glanced at her, calm and unreadable. Perhaps, or perhaps, they finally see humans as they truly are. That is all. Lyra shook her head. "You're not just a human. You're something more." He didn't answer immediately. Instead, his eyes scanned the horizon, alert as ever. "We do what we must. Humans survive by noticing what others miss, acting when necessary, and enduring when impossible. That is all you need to know." Over the next few days, the colony began rebuilding. Kale oversaw repairs quietly, efficiently, and without seeking praise. Aliens who had once mocked humans now watched with newfound respect. Some asked for his guidance, hesitant but eager to learn from someone who could see danger and act faster than anyone else. Lyra noticed the change. The galaxy was beginning to take humans seriously. No longer were they fragile or weak. No longer were they underestimated. And it was all because of Kale. One morning, Lyra and Kale were summoned to the council hall. Representatives from nearby systems had arrived to witness the human who had saved an entire colony. Aliens whispered nervously as they entered. "Lyra," Kale said quietly, "stay close. This is important." Lyra nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. They stepped into the hall and all eyes turned toward Kyle. Silence fell over the room. The same aliens who had dismissed him as weak now stared with a mixture of awe and fear. The council leader, a tall Zirili, stepped forward. "Kyle of Earth," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "your actions have saved countless lives. You have demonstrated a level of skill, strategy, and strength that we could not have imagined. Tell us, what is the secret of humans?" Kale's eyes scanned the assembly, calm and steady. "Humans survive. We adapt. We endure. That is all. Underestimate us at your own risk." A ripple of whispers ran through the room. Aliens exchanged looks of disbelief. Humans, they had thought, were fragile, weak, and primitive. Now they realized that the quiet, unassuming species could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast even the most advanced alien technology. Lyra felt a surge of pride. She had known Kale's strength, but seeing the galaxy realize it for themselves, it was overwhelming. "Kyle," she whispered, "you've changed everything." Kale's rare smile appeared. "Perhaps, or perhaps, I simply showed what humans have always been capable of." After the council meeting, Lyra and Kale returned home. The streets were calm now, but whispers followed them wherever they went. Aliens who had once mocked humans now treated them with caution, respect, and curiosity. That night, under the twin moons of the colony, Lyra finally allowed herself to speak her mind fully. Kale, when I married you, I thought I knew who you were. Quiet, gentle, maybe a little mysterious. But now, I see the truth. You're not just my husband. You're Earth's secret, the galaxy's secret, and I'm proud to stand beside you. Kale's calm eyes met hers. Lyra, humans endure, adapt, and survive. That is all. But having someone who understands, who sees it, makes it worthwhile, she smiled. Then we stand together, you and me. Humans and, well, everyone else can see what we are capable of. Days passed, and the story of Kale spread across nearby systems. Traders, diplomats, and explorers carried the tale of the silent human who had saved an entire colony. Aliens began to rethink everything. They thought they knew about humans. Lyra noticed a subtle change in the way humans were treated. No longer were they dismissed as weak. No longer were they ignored or underestimated. Humans were now a force to be considered, a species capable of surviving the impossible, adapting to the unknown, and overcoming even the deadliest threats. One morning, a young alien approached Lyra and Kale while they were tending to the garden outside their home. Kale, will all humans be like you? Kale knelt slightly, meeting the young alien's eyes. Not all humans are the same. But every human has the potential to endure, adapt, and survive. Underestimate us, and you may be surprised. The alien nodded, understanding dawning. Lyra watched, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. Humans, she realized, were no longer just a distant curiosity in the galaxy. They were a species to be reckoned with. And Kale, her silent husband, was living proof. As days turned into weeks, life in the colony stabilized. Trade resumed, diplomatic. Negotiations continued, and peace gradually returned. Yet everywhere Lyra and Kale went, the galaxy's perception of humans had changed. Aliens now approached them with a mixture of respect, caution, and curiosity. One evening, Lyra looked at Kale as he quietly inspected the perimeter of their home. Do you think the galaxy will ever fully understand humans? She asked. Kale's calm gaze met hers. Perhaps not. Humans are underestimated for a reason. It is safer that way. But those who see will understand. And that is enough. Lyra smiled, realizing that she had married more than a quiet man. She had married a force of nature, a living testament to the resilience, intelligence, and deadly potential of humanity. That night under the stars, she held his hand tightly. You're Earth's deadliest secret, she whispered. Kale's rare smile appeared once more. Perhaps, or perhaps you simply see what others fail to notice. And as they stood together, Lyra understood something profound. The galaxy had no idea what humans were truly capable of. They had seen one man, quiet and unassuming, save an entire colony. But that was only the beginning. Humans were clever, adaptable, and dangerous in ways no alien species could predict. Lyra looked up at the stars, feeling both pride and wonder. She had married a man who was more than a husband. He was a guardian, a strategist, and a symbol of what humanity could achieve. The galaxy had underestimated humans for too long. Kale's calm hand squeezed hers gently. We endure, we adapt, we survive. That is our gift. Lyra nodded, knowing the truth of his words. They had faced danger, chaos, and disbelief, and yet humans had prevailed. Kale had shown the galaxy a glimpse of Earth's hidden strength, and the galaxy would never forget it. As the twin moons shone above, Lyra and Kale stood together, silent but united. Humans had survived. Humans had adapted. And humans had revealed their true potential. The silent human had become the galaxy's deadliest secret, and the universe would never see humanity the same way again. Lyra rested her head on Kyle's shoulder, a sense of calm washing over her. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Humans were underestimated no longer. And in the quiet of the night, Lyra realized that her life had changed forever. She had married a man who was calm, silent, and gentle, but also Earth's ultimate secret. The galaxy had seen only a glimpse of what humans could do, and that glimpse was enough to change everything. For Lyra, for Kale, and for humanity, the future was wide open, filled with endless possibilities. Humans had survived. Humans had adapted, and humans had shown the galaxy their true power. The story was just beginning.